The topic, I'm going to cover it in 3 different parts. One is why financial literacy and what are the uses and why you are investing your time. Second is, what are the asset classes, what is debt, liability, and third is investing in them. Three parts. So the basic premise of economic life is to get rich. Obviously, work-life balance, satisfaction, joy of creating something, all intangibles count. But one of the biggest driver of why economic efforts are taken is to compound wealth. There are 4 ways to get rich, okay? First is you've got to be very lucky. Born to the right parents, married to the right spouse, inheritance, so on and so forth. And this is something outside your control, absolutely outside your control. Secondly is you become a good business person. You start a good business or you get a good job and you land with serious amount of money. The last 2 are what I'm going to talk about is you either invest in good assets which appreciate over a period of time. And why do you need an appreciation? One simple reason is as you go along the life, during initial period you will be dependent on your parents and they will be supporting you, but towards middle of your career and towards the end you will be fending for yourself. And you will need investments to overcome emergencies, weddings, foreign trips, education, buying a house, buying cars, so on and so forth. I'm sure you are all aware of this. And the last is you can partner with some of the best entrepreneurs out there via investing in stocks which are listed on the stock exchange. Okay? You can also invest with them on a private basis, but these are the 4 options. So either you get lucky, either you become a good businessman or get a good job. Third is you own assets. Fourth, you invest with other entrepreneurs and you become a passive partner with them. They are the active partners, they are managing the business, your money is with them, they give you returns. That's why we thought as undergraduate students of Flame, you should learn following 9 pillars of financial literacy. You should have some awareness about what is budgeting. Budgeting basically means planning your cash inflows and outflows. What you get in your pocket and what goes out of the pocket needs to be budgeted so you can monitor. You can monitor and control access. You can provide for one-offs. You can have some contingency funds. You can have some backups for emergencies and so on and so forth. That gets us to the concept of saving. Saving means if you have some income, you have a predetermined amount of money you save and then adjust your expenses post saving. Most of you do something reverse. You have some income or you will have some income when you start earning. You will spend whatever you want and there will be some balance left which you will invest. And that balance left may not be adequate for your life going ahead. Actually, the reverse works. You have some income, you have a predetermined savings rate, and then what is left over is what you should be spending. I hope this is very clear to you. It's the expenses are residual of savings, not vice versa, that what you save will be post expenditure. Is this concept very clear to all of you? Thank you. Third is then banking, because this is banks do 3 functions for you. They move money from point A to point B, from his account to your account, vice versa, all kind of transactions. Secondly, they help you invest money in various instruments, which I'm going to talk about: loan, fixed deposits, investment, mutual funds, equities, debt, so on and so forth. And thirdly, they give you ledger of all your transactions. They give you a monthly income statement of where money came from, where money went. And in banking, you will have to protect yourself from cyber security, getting your account hacked, and so on and so forth. Some basics you will require to learn. And I'm sure during the course of this entire literacy course, you will have somebody coming and talking about all of these concepts. Credit. Many times, your business requires resources which you don't have. So you need to invest in machinery, plant, equipment, people's salary, so on and so forth. So you require to borrow money. To enable you to to enable somebody to lend you money, you need to demonstrate your credit worthiness. That person who's giving you his hard-earned capital should be convinced that you have the means and the ability to repay back the money or serve the capital which is being entrusted to you. Loans. The other side of credit is the loan, basically. So a bank will give you a loan against your home, against car, or against working capital, or against plant and machinery and so forth. So how do you become eligible for loans? How do you service loans? That's the other side of the opposite of the credit. The sixth thing is retirement. At some point of time, you'll stop working, 50, 60, 70, depends on you. But at that point of time, you'll stop working and you'll still have financial obligations to meet your own sustenance of your family and so on and so forth, so that you are not dependent. Just remember, the son threw out the father. So you can't bank on your next generation to even feed for yourself. So you will have to make sure that you are financially independent post your earning capabilities are over. Seventh is investing, which I'm going to talk about. Debt management. Once you take a debt, how do you make sure that debt doesn't overwhelm you? Because whether it's day or night, whether it's Sunday or Holi, whether it's a holiday or a weekend, the debt is working, right? Every day you have to pay the interest. If you borrow 1 lakh from bank is going to charge you interest every day, 365 days. It works during the day, it works during the night, and you will have to pay for it. The opposite is also equally true. If you have investments in financial assets like FDs or bonds or debt instruments or equities, which I'm going to talk about, I'll explain you what they mean. They also work in the night, whether you are asleep or not. So both works throughout the year. Your assets also make work while you are not working, but debt also works while you are not working. And the last is taxes. As they say, there is no escape from taxes. I'm sure you all are paying taxes some form or other, though you are not earning income. So there are many types of taxes. One is income tax. Once you start getting salary, you will be taxed by the government. There will be capital gain tax. So when you buy any asset and you sell at a profit, you will have to pay capital gain tax. You pay GST on all your transactions. If you notice your bill, whether it's restaurant bill, whether it's a movie bill or any bill, air tickets, there's something known as GST, which is normally at 18%. On food it is less, but otherwise 18%, which you normally end up paying taxes, right? So this is ultimately, no matter what your vocation, profession or business is, the currency in which the transaction will get settled, the currency with which you will be able to purchase assets or sell assets or acquire resources to run your businesses will be financially linked. This is very important. Debt of one person. So debt is one person's liability but assets of another. So just imagine if two of you are friends, if you loan 10,000 rupees to her, she owes you 10,000 rupees. So in her books, that 10,000 rupees is a liability she owes you. And on your books, it's a 10,000 rupees assets which she owes you. I hope the two sides of the mirror are very clear to you. One person has taken the loan and has therefore incurred liability. One person has given the loan and has therefore created asset in his books. This is on the balance sheet level. On profit and loss level, she will need to pay her 10% interest, suppose if that is what is agreed. So every year she will have to repay 1,000 rupee to you, which will be your income, and that will be her interest expense. I hope this fundamental is clear to you, because without this nothing else will make sense. So I'm repeating this again. When a person borrows, he or she incurs liability, gets reflected in the balance sheet as liability, and that liability is serviced periodically by giving interest, which is whatever, 10%, 8%, whatever it is. And that becomes the income of the person who's given the loan. Is this concept extremely clear to all of you? So the last statement, debt of one person's liability, but is another person's asset. I'm going to just play a short video of how businesses borrow and how they run. Just spend, it's a 2.5 minute video. Just have a look.
If you can think critically and do grade school math, you can understand finance. Here are two more important Cash only comes from three places: operations, debt, or equity. And risk goes down in chunks. Remember that financial engine we drew for the lemonade stand? We put cash in the gas tank. We bought lemon, sugar, and water for the factory. We turned all that into lemonade and we sold it. Hopefully, we had excess cash at the bottom of the sales funnel to start the cycle all over again. But to start that engine in the very first place, we probably needed to get outside cash into the tank. Now there's only two ways to do this: borrow money or sell equity in the business. There are a lot of variations on debt and equity.
I'll just go back again. So when you have a shortfall, there are two options you have. Either through friends, family, bank, or somebody, you borrow money. Borrowing is a promise to repay at a certain interval. And during that interval, you are giving interest to that person. Second option is to get partners, where you can say, okay, I need to start a lemonade stand. Please invest 10,000 rupees. I'll give you 10% of the profits which I make of the business. So you have raised 10,000 rupees as an equity from a person whom you know, and you have promised to give 10% of the company's value to that person. Is that concept very clear? Two ways to fund your businesses. Either you borrow from friends, family, banks, XYZ, or you get partnership, where you sell a small percentage of your business to get the money with which to run the business.
If you can think critically and do grade school math, you can understand finance.
Sorry.
If you can think critically and do grade school math, you can understand finance. Here are two more important ideas in finance. Cash only comes from three places: operations, debt, or equity. And risk goes down in chunks. Remember that financial engine we drew for the lemonade stand? We put cash in the gas tank. We bought lemon, sugar, and water for the factory. We turned all that into lemonade and we sold it. Hopefully, we had excess cash at the bottom of the sales funnel to start the cycle all over again. But to start that engine in the very first place, we probably needed to get outside cash into the tank. Now there's only two ways to do this: borrow money or sell equity in the business. There are a lot of variations on debt and equity, but don't let it confuse you. Debt is just a promise to repay someone at a particular date and at a particular price. The price is usually expressed as an interest rate. Sometimes you repay that money in cash, and sometimes you repay it in ownership, as in the case of convertible debt. The other way to put cash in the gas tank is equity. Equity gives the investor a percentage ownership in the business. They only get paid if there's a dividend or if they sell their shares. So it's riskier than debt, and therefore the investor expects a higher return. The two basic forms of equity are common stock and preferred stock. Common stock is where you sell a piece of the company to an investor at a negotiated price. Here, the shareholders are all treated equally in a liquidation. Preferred stock is where you sell a piece of the company to investors at a higher price in exchange for letting them get paid first in the event of a liquidation. That's the preferred part. Let's go back to the gas tank, the factory, and the sales funnel. Once this engine is up and running, hopefully it starts to put cash back into the gas tank. This is cash from operations. But remember, if you grow assets, sales, or expenses faster than you grow cash from operations, you have to raise money from outside the company.
What it says is, if your operations, business operations, done enough cash to run, or can't afford to buy enough assets or people or resources or plant or machinery or computers or bandwidth or whatever it is, you will have to raise money from outsiders, and there are only two ways to do so. Either you sell them IOUs, there are various types of IOUs, senior, unsecured, so if it is secured by assets. So suppose he has bought a house, he pledges his house to the bank, and if he doesn't pay the interest, bank can take over the house, sell it and recover the money. So that is called mortgage loan, and it is secured. As far as bank is concerned, bank has taken 20% advance. Suppose the house costs 10 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees has been taken as advance, 8 lakh is the loan given, and if he or she stops paying interest on it, bank has legal right to take over the house, sell it, recover 8 lakhs. Sometimes they may recover less, 6.5, in which case bank will incur loss. But technically the loan is secured. So let's look at these two parts. What is assets? Asset is something we own. It could be financial assets, it could be hard asset, it could be land, it could be property, it could be anything. And liabilities are what we owe to others. I hope this principle is very clear to you. Assets are what we own, liabilities is what we owe to the others. And this is the equation of accounting, which is very simple. Assets are equal to liabilities plus equity. So give you a simple example of his transaction. He has paid 20,000 rupees, 22 lakh rupees as an advance, right? So 2 lakh is your equity in the home. 80,000 you have borrowed. 8 lakhs is what you have borrowed, right? So 2 lakh is his equity, 8 lakh is what he has borrowed, and he has purchased assets worth 10 lakh rupees, which is his home. Is this concept very clear? He has put 20% of his equity, he has borrowed 8 lakh rupees as his liability, and together he has bought an asset which is what? 10 lakh rupees. 10 lakh rupees is funded by 8 lakh rupees of loan, 2 lakh rupees of equity. Got it? There's a misconception. Yeah, I saw some hand. No, okay. There's one misconception that valuables are assets. Art is an asset, gold is an asset, diamond is an asset, but this is not true. The strictest definition of asset is something which gives you periodic income. So when you put money in bank every quarter gives you interest, it's your income. When you buy equity, they give you dividend. When you give your home on a rent, you get monthly rental income. Assets are something which gives you periodic cash flow. Diamond doesn't give you a periodic cash flow, art doesn't give you periodic cash flow, gold doesn't give you periodic cash flow. So though they are valuable and they are very expensive at times, they are not assets. Are we clear on this fundamental? Yeah, go ahead. Then it's a business. But I said car can be an asset. Car can be asset provided, but then in that case you are running the business. Mostly investments are talked about in passive terms, that you don't have to do much. You just transfer the ownership and you receive periodic income. But when you are actually renting the car, you are almost a lender, right? If that car gets damaged or he doesn't serve, then you are in a business of recovery. Then it becomes actually a business, right? It's no longer an investment. It becomes a business. While when I own shares of Telco or Tata Steel or any of the listed company, TCS, I don't have to do anything. Once I've paid the check and the shares are in my name, I don't have to do anything. But in your case, you will have to do a lot of things. You will have to do paperwork of loan, you will have to collect the interest, and if that person defaults, you will have to go after legally. So it becomes a business. It's no longer an investment to that sense. Same thing. So please understand this difference between three things. What is an asset? Asset is something which puts money in your pocket. Valuables are things you purchase like gold, jewelry, art, but they don't put money in your system and they can actually cost you money to store or do something. And the last things are all lifestyle. They are not even, though they are valuable and you can sell it to them. You can buy a yacht of 1 crore, maybe sell it higher or lower, doesn't matter, but they are not asset because they don't give you a periodic income. Go ahead. So important concept is asset is something which gives you periodic income at regular intervals, yearly, quarterly, monthly, depending on the contractual agreement. Are you financially independent? No. Your lifestyle will keep changing, you will have family, you will have to buy cars, so on and so forth. So because of this, you will have to worry about financial literacy. So this is the lifestyle of a typical average student. Initial period, they will be spending money, later on they will be earning money, and what they do with the surplus money which they have is what I am going to talk to you about. So, I am coming to the conclusion of the second period, what is asset and liability, and now we will focus on what is equity and what is debt and how you can invest in them. Are you with me so far? Okay. So, I will just see, let us go to this. What is debt and equity? This is the question you ask. So, equity, there is no obligation to pay back. It is perpetual. Once you raise an equity, you can sell it to others, but the company or the person who is issuing the equity has no obligation to give the money back to you. In return, you get dividend, which is surplus left after paying the taxes and paying the interest. While in debt, it is I owe you. I owe you money. I'll have to repay at certain frequency. I could have prepayment every quarter, every year, or 5 years, so on and so forth. It can be structured to suit the lender and the borrower. It is a private contract which can be structured and tailor-made based on the needs of the two parties. I hope this is clear on what is debt and equity. Let's look at each of these parameters. Equity is ownership. He is your partner. When you raise equity, you are inviting partners in your business. Those partners will have some rights. You will have to take their approval for doing certain things. So, they are actually becoming your partners in your business. Secondly, it's a very long-term assets. You end up diluting ownership of your control. You no longer can do whatever you want. Suddenly, you have raised money for real estate and you say, I want to make movies, it's not going to be possible legally. So, it will have a lot of restrictive covenants or restrictive terms attached to it of what you can do and what you can't do. And obviously, everything will fall, the rest of the things may not matter to you right now, but just remember one thing, when you sell your equity, you are selling your partial ownership. You are inviting partners and you will have to treat them as partners. While when you issue debt, you won't be diluting your ownership. That guy can't tell you what you should do, but what you need is you need to pay back the money at periodical terms as agreed upfront. Is this very clear to you, debt and the equity concept, right? So, equity is people who give you equity are your partners, and people who give you debt are your bankers and so on and so forth, right? This is the important slide. I'll spend some time on it. Equity has a lot of advantages. You don't need to pay back the capital. It's your perpetually. So, you can buy some very long assets, right? You can set up an airport. Imagine, suppose, what's your name? Siddharth. Siddharth comes and says, I have a very brilliant business idea. Give me money. But you will never be able to sell your stock back. Will anybody give you money? No, right? So, this is the concept of primary and the secondary market. With equity, Siddhant has come to a private market. He has given a prospectus, okay, I'm going to start an aircraft leasing business. I'm going to hire this aircraft. I'm going to fly them between Bombay, Pune. That's a very high traffic route. I'll make money. Please give me equity. I'm ready to give 50% of my shares for 50 crores, roughly, say. So, you have raised equity. You have diluted 50% ownership of your business. And you can acquire an aircraft and you can start your business, right? But what do I do? Suppose then I have invested in your business, say I have invested 10 crores and I have taken a stake in your company. When I need money, I can sell it to her or I can sell it to him. So, that becomes a stock market where he has issued the equity once in his lifetime, but the rest then we can trade amongst ourselves so that I have my liquidity when I need it. Because without liquidity, you will never go into a business, right? Even if he says he's the best businessman on the earth, if you can't sell your shares, then you are not going to invest, right? Because he is controlling the business, you are not controlling business, you are a passive partner. Partners need to be provided liquidity. And liquidity comes from trading the shares in the stock market. Is this very clear? So, when today you buy shares of Tata Steel or Tata Telco, the company which is making the EV Nexon and all, basically they've raised money earlier at some point of time And those partners are now selling their shares to others. So there is a vibrant liquidity via stock market for people who want to either sell their assets and encash to buy something else, or for people who are then looking to enter into business again. Today, Tata Telco doesn't need money because it has enough money on its balance sheet. But I need the money, so she can buy from me and she can replace me as an owner of Telco to that extent of shares. This is what stock market does. Stock markets provide you liquidity to sell your shares to a third party. Company is not affected. Company has got its money, it's in its bank when I paid the money to him. But then subsequently, we can keep trading shares among ourselves. Based on the performance of the company, share price will keep going up and down. Is this concept very clear to you? Thank you. So, debt and equity are two things we have spoken about, right? Debt is an obligation to pay periodic interest and repay the capital. Equity is no obligation to pay, but when you make profits, you declare dividends. And the equity is traded in the stock market, right? This is a question which asks, what if I don't want to raise debt? But many times, if you don't raise debt, equity becomes very expensive because suppose, excuse me guys, no distraction. Sometimes your project is such that without equity and without debt, it can't sustain. So when you set up a steel plant, suppose I want to set up a steel plant. A 1 million ton steel plant is a basic viable module of setting up steel plant, and it requires 800 crores. I may not have 800 crores right now. I have 200 crores. So what I will go is, I will de-risk my company, 800 crores, okay, I'll say 50-50. Let me raise 50% equity, 200 crore is mine, 200 crore I'll raise from 200 of you, each of you will give me 1 crore. So 400 crores become my equity. Then I will go to the bank and I'll raise remaining 400 crore as debt. So 50% debt, 50% equity, with which I will fund 800 crore, 1 million ton steel plant, right? So I own 25% of the company, public owns 25% of the company, 50%, sorry, I own 50% of the company, you own 50% of the company, and the remaining 50% has come from debt. So the financing mix is 25% equity by me, 25% equity by other shareholders, and 50% debt from banks. Is this very clear? Then once my steel plant starts, I have to start paying bank the capital back and the interest on it. I don't have to pay the equity share owners, but suppose I start making a lot of money, then the equity ownership in my steel plant will become valuable. So you might have invested at 10 rupees for me, but after 5 years, you might be able to sell it to her at 20 rupees. So that 10 rupees becomes your capital gain. And that is what investment is all about. Appreciation in share price because the underlying business doing well. Is this very clear to you? Thank you. So the last part of my session, the investments. So you can invest in either debt or you can invest in equity, both. There's a popular myth that gold is an asset, which I corrected. Gold doesn't have income, so gold is not an asset. But gold has certain advantages. In times of crisis, it can give you instantaneous liquidity. You can go in the middle of the night, pledge your gold or sell your gold and raise money. So it's almost like a currency. Also, it's good for diversification. When a lot of crisis happens, gold is a safe haven investment, right? Diamonds are forever, no. Diamonds are not an asset because again they don't have a cash flow, same reasons. Insurance is also not an asset. Though you invest money, insurance is not an asset because insurance promises to pay you should something happen to you. Insurance is not an investment. Insurance is protection against loss of earning power. I hope this is very clear, right? If you buy an insurance on your car and your car gets damaged in an accident, insurance company is promising you to replace that car, right? So it's a protection, it's not an investment. If nothing happens to your car, your money is over, right? You would have paid 10,000 rupees as a insurance premium for that year, and that would become zero at the end of the year. So it's a protection money. This is how Indian invest. 50% is in real estate, 3% is in cash, 4% is in equities, 5% is in pension funds, 15% is gold, and 14% is in bank deposits. Yeah, okay. This is the important part. So you can invest in all these assets, right? You can invest in real estate. You can buy a commercial property and rent it out. You can buy a house and you can mortgage it out. You can give it on rent, right? Collect rent. It's an income. You can buy equity, mutual fund, stock exchange, so on and so forth. You can buy art. You can buy high commodities like oil, wheat, copper, gold, or you can buy, gold and cash and assets. Is this clear to you? These are the potential investment opportunities you have. So this is probably second last slide. Then I'm going to question for the open answer. So when you invest in fixed income, your returns are usually low. You don't make too much of money because you are also safe, right? You don't lose too much money because many a times it is secured. So your returns are lowest. In equity, the returns are the highest, but the risk taken is also highest. Yeah, thank you. Liquidity of fixed income is very high. Real estate is very poor. You can't sell your house overnight, right? It takes a lot of time to find a buyer. If you have to sell a factory or plant machinery, it's going to take a lot of time. So many times the liquidity is very important. And the last and most important thing which I'm going to show you is the growth. Fixed income has grown by 9% in India, gold by less than 10%, real estate by 12%, and equity has grown by 17%. This is one of the reasons why you should invest in equity over a long period of time. This is a graphical picture of what past has been. Yeah. Is this clear? Yeah, go ahead. Yep. Now the last slide, and then I'm going to conclude in 5 minutes. This is how you invest. You can invest in individual stock, you can invest in a mutual fund, or you can invest in a venture capital fund or a private real estate fund. So these are the kind of options you have to invest in the stock market. Any questions here? Any questions? None. Great. Just one thing. So this is what I want to highlight. If you had invested in shares of these companies, you can buy any of this. Think it over. This is a wealth creation machine because when you invest in equity of a good business, it gives you a return with which you can do whatever you want. That is your passive source of income, and that is your equity investment. One big disadvantage of investing in equity is the price keeps coming up and down with regular interval. So this is the share price of Amazon, by the way, which has created a lot of wealth for Americans. Every year it keeps going down. Every year, without fail, it keeps going down and then it bounces back. Same thing is in India. If you look at the company Asian Paint, HDFC Bank, Hindustan Lever, Nestle, every year price keeps going up and down. If you can withstand volatility in share prices going up and down, this is the best investment you can make. Anyway, with this, the thing is ended, but I'm open to any questions you have. Any questions you have? Thank you.